All right. Dun, dun, dun.
Yo, soft words and harsh truths. You got issues, I got issues, we all do. So free yourself, a safe space for your concerns. We got things to learn, habits to unlearn. Always deconstructing and reconstructing. Can you see the beauty that's in destruction? If there's an end, a new beginning's coming. Nothing comes easy, does it? You gotta really want it. Soft words and harsh truths. You got issues, I got issues, we all do.
Hello, and welcome to Healing Out Loud, Unhinged While Anchored. I am your host, Goddess, and I am with Eric G, the host of Random Thoughts with Eric G podcast. How are you tonight, friend?
What's good, my sister? How you feeling?
I am doing very well. I am very sad for our audience because our conversation before we started recording.
Man, it's a vibe. I love it, man. We be talking. I love it.
So Eric is here tonight to be my anchor. And we are going to delve into Talitha. Who was the woman before Goddess? And so we are going to get a little personal. And the best part about this show is it's a crossover. So part 2 will be on Eric's show, his season opener.
Yep.
And that will be when?
I want to say July. I'm going to say July.
July is a good month. So tonight we're just going to get personal.
All right.
And since we both are at home, we're both parents, I just always caution those who are listening, there will be background noise. There will be people having temper tantrums and, just life.
And we trying our best not to have a temper tantrum on this damn site. So we trying to do it, man. We trying to do it. We parents, y'all.
I had one a little minute ago, but luckily you hadn't popped back in yet, so there was no witnesses.
Hey, but look, hold on. Before we get started, like I said, before we had our break, let's just take one deep breath. And before we get started tonight, we're gonna take one deep breath. We're gonna just get ready. Y'all, I am I want to say this very quick. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I am just an average Negro trying to make things happen. So, but I like I tell y'all, we're gonna have a good time still. Look, Goddess, I appreciate you bringing me on here. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me with this. Like I appreciate it.
I am a firm believer that things happen for a reason. And Eric and I actually met on our friend Draymo's show. Shout out to Draymo, because she was doing a Random Thoughts podcast. And since Random Thoughts is Eric's thing, she was like, I should have him on. And that made sense. We respect the artist in our world, which is amazing. Yeah. And so, just in our back conversations after recording and even during the show, we just vibed, and the words fell out of my mouth and I was like, okay, cool. That's where we're going with this.
Hey, look, and what we're going to do is too, I want us to be able to I want us to be able to learn that our past don't define us. Absolutely. We're able to, it's dead and gone. Mm-hmm. But what we do is now we're speaking about our past and able to have a better future. So I love that. And again, like I said, look, don't let these glasses fool y'all, man. I am a nerd, but I'm trying. I'm a nerd. I'm a hood nerd. I can fight. That's the difference. But like I said,
you heard.
Yeah, don't say I can do a little bit on both. I'm in there. But no,
well,
man, I just want.
Chris Fury is a blurred. And you're hood nerd. You're a herd. So
I'll take that.
You heard?
Hey, man.
I love to play on words, so sometimes we might get a little weird, a little quirky. But
man, it's cool. I don't know y'all know if y'all watch Draymo's episode. We were joking one day. I'm like, yo, that's your white side is talking, so it's all right.
Yes, that's really what it was when I told you I worked in corporate, and you were like, "Oh, yep, there's the white side." But I did regain, an honorary black card by quitting without notice. So,
no, I'm telling you, I don't know. I think because my bills be like, look, Eric, you quit this motherfucker if you want to.
you know what though? I kind of was led to it. I
understand.
I kept watching the situation around me, and it was looking a little too familiar. And I wasn't willing to put myself in that again. Not to speak bad about the company. My experience was my experience, but it was enough of an experience to say, yeah, I don't want this life. I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I've had a couple of conversations and I was right. And so I am blessed and I recognize those blessings.
And I commend you for that because you got a chance to do something that people are scared to do. You know what I'm saying? It's been times I've been in situations and jobs. I'm like, man, this job is not for me, man. I don't know why I'm here. I like it was. I'm gonna tell everybody at one point in time, I was going through a really rough patch where I was homeless and all this other stuff, and I just got to take this job. I started getting on my feet. I'm like, look, I don't need this job, but I have to work this job, and I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to leave and step out on faith. But I actually one day was like, look, man, I got to do what's best for me, and I moved forward. And I commend you.
Thank you. There was a time though that I almost lost the house that I'm living in right now. And one of the ideas that I had was to sell naked pictures, because that is just a process. But for me, I struggled with that because of the age-old profession. So as soon as you put a monetary piece onto it, it became a profession. And so I had a problem with it. And so I struggled. A lot of the friends that I met on Instagram were there in that lifetime. But it was a means to an end. It was an attempt to ensure that my kids never lost the roof that they've grown accustomed to because I've lived here since 2005.
Okay. Oh, yeah, a long time. Yeah.
So I was scared. And I kid you not, I know that my life is full of blessings because it was the 11th hour. Like I had until like this specific time to have the exact amount in. I could not find a location that had the right software to communicate with the foreclosure company. It was like I had 7 minutes, like 7 minutes before this place closed. And I got it in and I saved the house. And so my life is full of stories like that. And so
I love that.
I've wanted to be able to share those kind of stories because that's what led me to Goddess.
Right.
Demon played a big part of that, but it took all of the trauma growing up for me to recognize him when he arrived. To the point that he's the only man that ever arrived with an intro song.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that though, cause like when you said intro song, was that like it was metaphorically in your mind what you felt. So like when you seen him, it's just like, yo, this is my feelings, and it plays out in song.
Yeah, it's the Her song. There's a line in the song that says, "I'm looking for someone to be the words to my instrumental." And he aligned perfectly with that. And it was really surreal because it was a physical manifestation of the song. Obviously, it wasn't as soon as I met him, but it was very significant to the entrance of him into my life. And it's really weird, so it was those kind of signals that I was like, okay, let me take notice here. But we're going to rewind.
Okay, let's go.
Because I think that the demon story is really where a lot of people are going to have some questions, because there is a lot of self-reflection in that story.
Okay.
But I've actually, go ahead.
Do you want to go? So you want to start in your childhood and work up, or how we want to do it?
We're going all the way back. So I've always thought of writing a book, and the first line of my book was, my earliest childhood memory involves an indecent proposal and a piece of pie.
Oh, okay. I said, let my microphone down. All right, yeah, I got you. So how do you do this?
It was my dad's girlfriend's son asked to watch me use the restroom. And his reward was a piece of pie. That's probably why I'm not a really huge pie eater today. I'll eat it, don't get me wrong, especially apple and crumb.
See, that's the white people side, y'all. We just got plain apple pie now. We don't got no crumbs. We just got a plain apple pie.
But see, I also prefer pumpkin over sweet potato, but we'll take that to another show.
See, y'all, I'm trying to keep it PG. I'm trying to keep it cool, y'all. But see that, see, this is what you say your real name was? What you say your real name was?
Talitha.
That was Tabitha that was talking a few seconds. Tabitha the pumpkin pie, y'all. I'm just saying that. Hey, Tab. Look, go ahead, Tabby.
Absolutely not.
All right. So we went to the pie.
Okay. So we went all the way back, and that kind of set me up, That really was my life moving forward. A lot of men looking at me inappropriately, but I would say that, and I've shared this on my TikTok, so it's not a new story, but when I was 10, my brother decided to put toilet paper in the toaster one night, and he wanted to see if it would burn. I mean, he was young. I can make an excuse for it now because I'm ancient, but back then,
right.
What are you doing, homeboy? But
yeah.
So Friday night, payday, knew it was payday because Dad was going to the bar. He put on Boogity Daw. Now, to this day, I love that. I don't really say it with anybody. It's just kind of one of those memories that you hold. But my dad called his cologne Boogity Daw. And so anytime he would put on cologne, he was like, I got my Boogity Daw on, and my dad was a very attractive man. And, I ain't mad at him. Go out and play it. Get you some.
Do your thing. Feel you on that one. Hey, what? I can look. My dad. Before we get started, my dad to this day. My dad is 74 years old. He has always been a playboy, and he's still to this day. He would kill me. I just told his age. My dad. My dad. I'm in the same boat with you. So my dad had these colognes and stuff too. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, never feel sorry. That's what makes this the best conversation. And so Dad came home after being at the bar and kind of lost his shit. You can't hide the smell of burnt paper, right, especially to the African American nose.
That's why we got them big.
Yeah, I mean, we could smell a lie coming too, but so Dad and brother had a very intimate dance battle.
Mhm.
And I was watching Dirty Dancing on the television. Now let me age myself because this is a critical piece of information.
Okay.
Excuse me.
You good?
I am of the age that my cable box was a slider.
Hold on,
And
say that one more time. A slider?
a slider.
Okay. Okay.
Because there weren't very many cable channels. So
Right.
I was big time because I had a slider, which meant I had HBO and I was
Yo,
watching Dirty Dancing.
yo,
That was
let
the
me
bizarre.
let me tell you this for me, because so I'm a kid of the 90s. So I remember for us, like you had regular cable. This is when they actually add cable channels to your TV. And then you had, when you really thought you was big time, was when you had a cable box.
Right.
And our cable box, I never forget it. It was this little black cable box, and I can still remember the red time was on it, and it's like the little red little digital time on it, and you can move it up and down. You can change it up and down. And then this how it was. You had like regular cable when they let you watch like you might can watch, I don't know, to me BET or something like that back in the day. But then you had advanced cable when you get to watch Cinemax and HBO.
Right.
And I was like, yo, when we got advanced like for maybe 1 month, I was like, yo, we bougie in the hood. We the bougie people.
The same like when your TV moved from the floor to the shelf. Like you had came somewhere then.
You came up. Yes. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. See, I'm all I'm doing right now, y'all. I am like visualizing everything she's saying. Okay, got you. So all right, so you're watching dancing.
I was watching Dirty Dancing. Dad walked out into the living room, told me to go to bed, and he swatted me as I went past him because he was holding me responsible for what my brother had done. And the situation led for us to be taken from the home. But I want anybody listening to this to know I love my dad. I do not hold any animosity towards him for any story that I'm about to share. I realize now he was hurt too. So I've forgiven him for every story you guys will hear because I'm looking at it through different vision now.
Got you.
Doesn't make it less true. So opinions can be formed. Just know that my dad is a very good man and I love him. So I'm back on track. Okay.
Disclaimer.
So later that night, I actually had I didn't go to sleep. And I heard my dad on the phone. And I heard him crying. Like tears. And so as a Black man, that doesn't happen often. So for a daughter who's a daddy's girl, it was pretty traumatic for me. And we got involved with the courts, because my brother's arm had inadvertently been broken.
Got you.
So we were taken to live somewhere, another relative's house. I feel that my life was a lily pad of hell because everything that was sent in and was supposed to save me, I could feel it, ended up being worse.
So you feel like that night was the start of everything? Downfall, you feel?
Not necessarily. That was the match. Yes.
Right. Okay.
But it didn't get lit until a few weeks later when we were in the courthouse.
Gotcha.
And I hadn't seen him in a few weeks. And so I ran up to him and I was like, "Hey, Dad, it's me." And he wasn't talking to me. And I was like, "It's me, your kid." And he's like, "I don't have any kids."
So do your mommy asking, how old were you at this time?
10, 11.
Okay.
And so
one more thing. And your brother was older, younger?
Younger. I'm the oldest of all my siblings.
Got you. Okay. Now I got it in. Okay, I got it. Sorry.
No worries.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. All right.
And so we were sent to live with another relative. And that day in the courthouse, when he told me that he didn't have any kids, I stopped existing. And it's because this is the only man that I've ever loved. And he just told me that I'm not real. So I disassociated from life from that moment. And the family I went into, again, we come from old-fashioned family. And so it comes from a heavy discipline. And my introduction to this discipline. Now, one thing I will tell you about my dad, he always recognized I was a girl.
Right.
And so anytime there was punishment, it was adjusted to me because he recognized that I was a girl. So my introduction to the opposite of that was one night I had a bedwetting problem. I peed the bed until I was about 11, 12 years old.
Gotcha. I understand.
And so the relative had woke me up and I was in that transition sleep. So I spoke what my brain didn't know. And I said, no. And my brother and I had brought a plastic baseball bat with us. And that was used to wake me up.
Got you.
And so that was the start of about a year of trauma.
Okay.
And it was twofold. It was threefolded.
Okay. So hold on. So before we get into the deep details of it, because I'm gonna share my story, a little bit of mine in conjunction with you, Ed, because I like a lot of. I see why you connected with me because a lot of my stuff is kind of similar. Okay. Like I said, I told everybody who don't know, today is my mother's birthday. Mother passed when I was 7. She passed away when I was 7. My mom was a single mom. She had 3 kids. And again, I talk about this in my podcast. Season 2 was my mental health episode. and I was talking about that when how my mom thing was growing up for us. My mom was like the partier, so she would take us with like all the kids came to mom's house, so we knew everybody in the neighborhood. Then my mom would, like, on the weekends, she'd go to the party. She had a little party at her house, and all the parents would come over, and that's how we knew everybody. You know what I'm saying? So when she left, that was kind of like a big part of my life stopping. So I had to turn over we moved to my grandmother's after that. And my grandmother was very old school. So, like you said, our punishments would be on that level. You get what I'm saying? So I connect with you on that. Now it's stuff I to this day ain't 100%, but it's stuff that had happened. And like I said, I don't take away from who she was because she loved the hell out of us. She loved the hell out of me and my brother and sister. But I understood it's stuff that it took me until now to deal with. I went to therapy through my trauma. They was trauma built for me that to this day I would talk about and I would bust out crying.
Yeah.
And so I understand. So that's my connection to you on that part.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. And I am going to be honest, I am an empath. So my emotions run heavy and high all the time. Gotcha. So you put me into this very violent environment, I am not going to do well. And so there was another person that lived here as well. that actually took personal issue with me. Um, a lot of it, I feel, was colorism. Again, I've forgiven, disclaimer,
Understand? Yeah, understand.
you know, but this person really did torture me.
What
I
do you
mean,
think is? I don't think. Do you think it was a colorism, or do you think that? And I'm gonna be. And this is me being blunt as I can. Do you think it was just jealousy? I mean, a lot of people look at because if I could picture how you looked in my head, and in my head, like I'm be always honest with you, I see into mirror circa
yeah,
like 1990. You know what I'm saying? With the long curly hair, all of that, I can see that. And so, do you think that because in the black culture, I do feel that people look at lighter people as they're supposed to be better than, or they supposed to be bougie, or they think they pretty. Like it happens, and that's a trauma that we have in a community, just dated back to slavery. So,
yeah.
do you think it was that colorism, or do you think it was just fact of jealousy?
I think I always land on colorism because I don't ever think of myself as somebody worthy of being jealous of.
Right, right. But that doesn't mean necessarily that you didn't feel that because, like I said, like what you see every day in the mirror is different what other people see in the mirror. See when they see you. I'm sorry. See when
Right.
they see you. So they could have been seeing it as, and like you said, she thinks she's better because she light skinned, or she thinks she's pretty because she's this right. She got this long hair. Okay, like it happens, and it's a shame that it happens in our community that we are pit against each other based on our skin tones. But I
I
think that
went up
happens.
I went out to Walmart one day with my daughter's father and I had pressed my hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in Arizona, and I went into Walmart in downtown Phoenix, well in in a deep pocket of Phoenix, and I was like, I don't feel safe. Like I was getting like these looks, and it's not from everybody, and I'm not saying that it happens with every woman, but it
Mm-hmm.
does happen often enough that you just pick up on those energies.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help it. My hair, it's really not what you think it is, ladies. Like for real, I got bald spots. I got, it's a complicated mess. And
Right.
I'm like, no, just it's okay, Bray. It's okay.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, but it's crazy that it happens like that because I have three sisters, and all three of my sisters have different skin tones, right? And
Hmm.
one of my sisters, they always call her like the Puerto Rican one because she looks Puerto Rican. That's what they always say. And she kind of favors you a little bit because she has really thick curly hair. She's real light skin. You know what I'm saying? She actually favors you a little bit. And so, like, I remember growing up, I remember she got into this really big fight when she was a teenager because she was just standing in her locker and the girl's like, "Oh, you think you pretty?" and scratched her down her face. And I remember that. I mean, my sister whooped her ass. That's neither here nor there. But it was. I remember that situation happened because I do feel like in our community, people look at each other like it's a we should be aware of each other because of our skin tones. Um,
Have successfully avoided pretty much all altercations except for in sixth grade. The lady came up to me and she wanted to fight me. I
mhm.
walked away because I'm not a fighter. I've never been a fighter. I'm a genuine empath, natural born.
Yes, yeah, I
I
believe.
went home and got in trouble for doing the
Mm.
right thing.
Okay, so
I
we're gonna get to that. We gotta get. Let's go back. Go back to where we was at. All right, so we had three empaths. So now we're gonna get to now. See, all this is gonna lead to this. Okay, I tell you, we all over the place. That's how we do. But we're gonna get to it. All right, so we had the three empaths. So three empaths.
okay.
So from your friend, from your family member that's looked at you as you say as colorist.
Uh-huh. So this relative also molested me.
Okay,
And she
got you.
created a really deep vein of issue for me to the point that I was not able to love on my daughters because in my head I thought I was gay. Even though I was smart enough to know that's not true.
Right.
I understand the gay, I understand the gay. I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
I understood I understand.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the right words. I don't want
Hey, I'm here. I know. I promise you. Look. You ain't got to try to fight him. I understand. I'll go over my look. Y'all know I speak fast, so I'll go over my words. I get it. You understand the gay lifestyle,
right? I understand that 1 and 1 was not 2 in this math equation, but it still was difficult for me because one of the lines that was said to me prior to the end of this season of awesomeness was, I need to stop this because I don't want to get AIDS. And so for a 11-year-old child at that time, I didn't know what the frick AIDS was. I didn't give a shit. I just knew it was ending. But looking back, it was the ignorance that saved me. But in this time, there was also encouragement for me and my brother to fight. We had to go across the street and we would fight in a neighbor's yard. At one point, we had fought and he dragged me around the house by my hair and he dislocated my scalp. And people don't understand what that means when I see that, but I really could not open my mouth. Like, it was, here's a lighter. This was too wide for me to eat, and it's a joke, it's like,
it was your nerve with it, right?
Yeah. So I was like, but it's a joke, and I remember that time. And yeah, I try not to because I was traumatized. Like, I could not handle people touching my hair until deep.
I got you. I respect.
So it was a lot of that. And there was a guy across the street. I don't know if they were twins, and I don't really say names in my stuff, but these are important because, and I'm going to tell you why. Javon and Jarvis, I don't remember last names, but something about Javon was significant because in 1998, I gave birth to twins. And my son's name is Javon.
Okay.
I carried this man's name with me from 11 until I had my sons in 98.
So do you think that it was a connection? Do you think that, it had to be, he left some kind of impact on your life that made you do this?
Yeah, he was very significant for me. And I know that I crushed on him. I remember him being a very attractive guy, but that's not enough for me. So he had to have done some major act of kindness for me to connect to him, because if you're not relevant, I don't remember your name. And I don't mean that in the worst. I don't mean that as it sounds, but I am ADHD. I barely remember my kids' birthdays. I don't know their names. I sometimes forget I have kids. Those are really fun moments. I really aim.
Hey, I got some days, man. I'm like, man, Lord. I get it. I'm with you.
But I had a lot of battle wounds from this time period, and there was times that it was I was thrown outside when it was winter time and water was thrown on me. I am a very fair complected person. I'm not sure if you caught on to that.
No, I thought you had a tan now. That's neither here nor there.
You know, I'm pretty dark, but I have, you know, very dark features. So when I was younger, I had a unibrow. I had the heavy pelted arms, you know, and legs, and I was self-conscious because people made fun of me. She would make me wear a dress to school. And I remember one day I was walking down the street and I was like, "You flunker," because I really am an innocent person.
Yeah, I believe. I believe. I think situations prepare you for it. Yeah, I got you.
She heard the word without the L, and so she took off down the street and like mollywopped me to teach me a lesson. And I, to this day, have to still see this person. They come up to me and they're like, "Talitha, hey, oh my gosh, you're so pretty." They hug me and I have to go through the motions because that's what you do. I didn't tell my family until last year.
Wow. So do you think that, I think we all do too. I think that, because I think one thing we did in Black household is what happens in this house stays in this house. And we all have done that. So I understand what you're saying. I do think that, but sometimes we hold on to it that we actually kind of forget about it until it's something triggers. And I remember, like I said, it'd be conversations that I would have now that would go. My mind would actually go back in time to who I was at that time. You know what I'm saying? So I understand exactly what you said. So yeah, I'm gonna get in depth what I feel about the parent situation, but that parent situation. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That's
I keep saying it's like a comfortability thing. I'm sorry. So I keep saying it. I can't help it.
You're an anchor, so you know sometimes they've got to be shifted, and you know that's the whole purpose. And I told you, I didn't choose you. I really feel like we were chosen for each other. In this moment, you hear my granddaughter in the background. We're gonna be happy with laughter.
Hey, we good. We good. I'll be honest with you, it actually carrying the tone, so we good. It keep the tone lighter. We good.
But I carried a lot of pain, and I met my mom re-entered the picture soon, and I was at this location for about a year, and we begged her to come get us. Hold on. Okay.
Hey, yo, she dropped like 27 F. She dropped 27 F words. I counted.
27. It was 28. Give me my flower.
I must have blinked. Go ahead.
But my mom came in, and that wasn't the best situation either.
Right. But she wasn't ready to come back. She wasn't ready to come back, or she felt like she had to, or.
My mom is great. She's the hippie, love, peace, and war kind of woman. You know, I just recognize that, again, I was put into a situation to recognize what I did not want to be.
Right.
And so, my stepdad, rest in peace, welcomed us as in children.
In children, okay.
Nigga children.
Got you. Oh, okay, got you.
And he wasn't racist. He just came from a different time.
That's not bad.
You're good. And you know, my breast came in during this time.
Okay. Okay. I know where we're going. Go ahead. Now, hold on. You want to do a deep breath?
Actually, I don't have any trauma emotions to this time period anymore. You might get tears only because I recognize that this is one of those episodes that will have to have a trigger warning on it because of what we're discussing, which is exciting. But at the same time, I've always thought my life was a movie. Maybe that's why Demon came in with an intro song.
Right. I think we we associated that with the trauma in our life too, because I seen, like, I was honest with you, like, I seen it played out like a story. You know what I'm saying? I seen it plays out like a story, and like, I know we ain't going in deep depth like we wanted to, but my thing, I see it play out like I look at my situation, my life, and in my head, I feel it like when I tell the people how my life folded out, it was like it plays. I say it as a story,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And you play it as a movie, so that will help you cope with it. You play it as a movie.
It's fun because I get to interchange the characters, right? So, and if I want to write them as warlocks and witches, then that's what we're going to be. And it, as you stated, it is a coping mechanism. And it was because I didn't start healing until April of last year. And it was because somebody came in and was my exact mirror. So I was faced with every story I'm going to share. I'm faced with that in the eyes of somebody I want to spend my life with. So I had to make a choice. If I lived in romance novels, which is what I did as a kid, and this is what I've asked for my whole life, and I'm being presented with this climactic story, am I going to run? Yes, but which way?
Got you.
You know, and so it was a real testament to who I was, and it was the first time I was doing that because my first introduction to the heterosexual world was also by force.
Got you. So, all right. So, you met your stepdad.
I did.
Okay.
And you know, he was an interesting guy. He was a LDS. And so, you know, that was an interesting sect of life. Is where I was introduced to the Mormon religion. I was baptized Mormon. Disclaimer, I only baptized because the elder was cute.
You're a kid, man. You're a kid. That's it.
I've never really been part of structured religion. I've always been a little free-spirited. So, you know, that's a whole other can of worms being born into a religious family. But so one day my stepdad said, "Hey, come here. I know you really want a black bra. Let me see what size you are. And I can help your mom. I can help and convince your mom to get you a black bra." Because my mom felt I was too young.
Okay.
And then he told me, "You should go now. I haven't had sex in a while." I'm 13, 14.
Right.
He's not the only man in this time frame that made a lot of these kind of inappropriate things. Like I said, my breasts have always been large. I was known as Too Tall Terry at the tetherball. And I was also known as BB. There was two of us, BB1 and BB2, big boobs.
Okay. Big boobs. Gotcha.
So, you know, this is the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. You know, this is that time frame. During that time frame, I don't know how this guy came into my life, but he had a Chester man. You know, the kind of vans that had the window in the back, the scary vans that you don't take candy from.
Ooh, oh yeah. You know, I ain't gonna say what I want to say. You know what we call them?
I said the Chester van.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
left off the second word to keep it clean. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I
Can you tell me the postcode?
0630 0630. I can't. I've decided that I don't want to have kids.
Hey
But
yo,
no,
let me say this real quick. You know what? Hey, you know what? You know what I like about this radio, because it does feel like, yeah, we having a genuine, like we at each other's house having a real conversation. I love it. I think you should keep. I think you need to keep it all in. Keep it all in, because it's
I
like we having a real conversation.
yes, I love this, and that's why I do kind of put that thing in the front, you know. And I have to remember, because I do curse at my kids. You know, I am a firm believer, and um, the world's not going to be nice to them.
Cool.
And so it's not that I'm overly aggressive or any kind of anything like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just very real with them. And so their behaviors as they relate to autism, I'm very honest. I'm saying the world's not going to put up with this. You need to knock your shit off.
Mm-hmm.
Recognize that you're in a behavior right now. Recognize how you're feeling in this behavior. And then we
Mm-hmm.
can discuss it, and then we can have ways to cope. But
Okay.
nobody's going to coddle you. And I don't have the kind of parenting that's very welcomed. But
Well,
it,
let me say this real quick. It's like, because me and my wife thing was, me and my wife is two different sides of parenting. You know what I'm saying? My wife was like, I'm gonna take your things away from you. I'm gonna talk to you, whatever. I'm like, I'm quit the jump. I'm quit not jump. I'm quit the cuss. I cuss. I get in your face. That was my thing. And what we had to get to is like a happy medium of both, because you need a little bit of sternness, and so they know you serious. But you need a little bit of leeway so they won't feel threatened too bad. And and I think what you just said, the balance of what we are. How you just
right.
said, cause you like, yeah, I'll cuss, but I'm like, I'm gonna break it down to you why I'm cussing at you, because the world is not gonna do this. So you gotta understand what's going on. Because my thing was, as a black man, I got two black sons. I was like, look, the world, they don't care about us black people out here in the world. So you got to get yourself together before you walk out these doors.
Mhm.
And then I remember it took me and my wife having a conversation going back and forth, where I was like, look, sometimes I gotta tone it down a little bit, and she gotta tone it up, and we gotta merge it together. And what you just said was the perfect example of the merger.
It's very complicated. So that we have adult words, you know, and I hear her say them, but I'm starting to react a little less to her flavor enhancers,
Mhm.
because it's a fact of life. It's a reality. These are the kids that she's around. So if I can teach her to discern when it's okay and when it is not, that's
Right.
more important to me than just stemming her and making her smaller.
Right.
Um, I did have a pocket of time that she was on medicine, and I've removed her from all the medicine. Um, Not that she doesn't need it, but I recognized that I quit my job, and so I didn't want to continue on a path that wasn't going to be able to be lived on for long. So um, I put her first. And we've had some behavioral issues, but I'm not in an orange jumpsuit, and we are going to say accept that as a win. Um,
Gotcha. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So let's talk about this white bastard. I mean, sorry. I gotta get my words together. Yo. So I'm trying to be nice. Let's talk about your stepdad. And you said that he said to get out the room because it's been a while. And So does that pick up from there, or you say it's a force, so it happened? So
Well, so that story's a little weird. I
okay,
don't necessarily know, and I don't feel that he ever violated me. Let me
okay,
be clear on that.
okay,
The
understand.
situation, however, not working to his favor.
Right,
So
because he kind of opened that door. He kind of opened the door right quick, right there.
nobody knew about the bra.
Mm-hmm.
There's another incident that catapulted us back over to my dad. Um,
Gotcha.
and that situation was my stepdad had given me alcohol and I blacked out drunk.
Okay.
A family friend walked up to the house. My stepdad was standing over me and I was naked.
Oh yeah.
Right, like baby born naked.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the cops were called. We went to the hospital. The doctor said there's no way of knowing if anything happened because of how relaxed I was and the fact that I had passed out. I want to believe nothing happened. My stepdad and I
Okay.
really did turn a corner later before he passed. I just
So
don't hold on to that kind of stuff. Um,
gotcha.
I know it sounds weird, but I've always just let shit go.
Mm,
I can be angry for an amount of time, but I never hold on to that. And
right, right.
my grandmother, before she passed, said that was my superpower. She didn't use
Mm,
that word, but she said that that was one thing she appreciated about me was my ability to turn the other cheek
gotcha.
because everybody takes advantage of me.
Mm.
I,
I understand.
I've done my dirt. I'm not innocent, but I've
Mm-hmm.
had people live with me rent free, and the minute I really needed money from them, dip out and say, you
Yep.
know, and it's the way that I've been able to stay within grace. I have my moments. I allow myself my moments of full pity. I, why is this happening to me? People suck, you know.
Mm,
I allow myself all those moments, but it's just really hard
right.
because you look at how much has gone out and not anything really coming in, and you're like,
Mm.
how the fuck are you still standing?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. But and I tell you that, like, no matter throughout the dirt and dirt and the rain and the crazy stuff, you have a story to tell, and your story is going to help the next person that's going through it. You know what I'm
And
saying? And I love about it.
that's why I wanted to do my story with somebody
Yeah,
because I feel that the impact of it can help, but it's got to be in the delivery. Even in this episode, you can tell my voice is softer. Normally, I'm yelling at the computer for some reason, like an old person.
I got you.
And I just, my story might not be unique,
Hmm.
but I am.
That's what matters. That's what matters. It's the fact is that you recognize that though. That go ahead. You got me on mute. No,
Yeah.
I know. It's the fact is that you recognize that about yourself. And I know it took a long time to get to that place to knowing that you are you.
Yeah.
You're going to experience the ups and downs and what you went through to get to this place. I mean, like I said, I know I kind of pull you back into the story, whatever, but I just want to make sure whenever you're comfortable with the next part, let's go with it. But I'm saying, but here's my thing is everything that happens, and I'm gonna say this at the end again, but everything that happens for a reason,
Absolutely.
and we are still alive today because of those situations. We
I
might.
wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't go
Gotcha.
back and take anything away. I had to go through every single thing I went through
Mhm.
um, in order to appreciate things. And like I've shared, I have so many testimonies of going down the freeway at 80, 70, 75, whatever the speed limit is, of course. And the tire going flat and not losing control of the car, or pulling up to a friend's house and my tire going flat as I start to decelerate and pull up to their house. Things and situations where I should have been injured or something bad happened. I was protected, and I recognized that. And so I never took anything for granted. And I was like, yeah, you guys are hurting my feelings, but I still love you.
See, oh my goodness. And I love that because I went through similar situations like that. And because how my family described me, because me, my brother, and my sister, real close. I still have two older sisters on my dad's side. But me, my brother, and my sister always had that story because we from my mom. And if you let them describe me, they're like, Eric, you're the nice one. You're the one that's gonna like hold it down and get everybody together. And so I've had situations like you said where you feel that they taking my niceness for weakness. Like, is these people really understanding what like my heart? I'm trying to be nice right now. I'm like, most people ain't gonna do this. I'm doing this out of my kindness, and then you still get used. You still get fucked over. All of that's gonna happen. And then I remember, and it was times where I was like, look, fuck the world. I don't even need this shit no more.
Fuck the world. Fuck the world. It becomes so powerful. And I will be honest with you, and I'll give you a little teaser for what I'm bringing to your episode. Last year, I was in such a deep emotional space with Demon, I cut myself. Now, understand, disclaimer, it was a behavioral thing that I had only done once before in life, and it's a snapback. I was in such a dark space that I needed to do something to shock my brain enough to be like, what the fuck is going on? And I akin it to the scene in Soul when he goes into the happy place and it's dark and they save the accountant who had become part of the darkness, and just got swallowed in his life and lost who he was. It's that kind of situation. And I had to wake up. It's not healthy. I would never do this again. I was just desperate.
You was looking for you're looking for a way out.
I had lost control of myself because I had given so much emotion to Demon. And, he was a safe space for me too. So even when he was causing all this heartache and confusion and pain, I was still like, come cuddle me. I love you. Don't leave me. But
was that from like that longing for being accepted, longing for being, does that come from like, look, I want to feel like you want me in a way that's comforting for me. I need you to show me your heart. Was that way? Or?
But because I'm breaking generational curses, that's what I wanted. That's not what I needed. I needed to learn to be without. I needed to learn that my fear of abandonment was not contingent on us talking all day. I had to learn that he's an independent person of me. I don't have to be around him all day. So if there's times that he needs to take a step back because he's having an emotional time, because he's allowed that time, I gave it to him, and so it was 30 days and somebody freaked out. It's like, healing doesn't come with a time frame.
It does not.
It's not that him and I didn't talk at all during those 30 days. It just meant that in those 30 days, I wasn't going to pressure him. I wasn't going to need him as much as I needed him. I mean, I still did, but
Mhm.
I wasn't going to push that on him because in that moment, he needed me to be his peace, not his war. And in order
Right.
to be his peace, I needed to step back and give him space.
But also in that same sense, though, I'll say that you have to find in that break, find what's your piece.
Absolutely.
Because and I've done this too, is we have get to a place where we give so much of ourselves, we have nothing left for us. And when we do that, it causes us to you're gonna spaz out. You're gonna be like, look, you're gonna malfunction because it's nothing there left. It's nothing left. I done gave everything I can to people, to the world. But we need that. Even when you feel like the world is not giving it back to you, you like, look, I need it because we are human. We yearn for being accepted. We yearn for being loved. You need that. But at the same time, we also have to get to a place in our lives where we realize as much love we give somebody, we A, deserve it,
Right.
and B, we are capable of doing it for us.
Right.
We are capable of loving us. Because in the day, I had to tell myself one day, I can give all myself to my wife. I can give all myself to my kids. I give all myself to my family. I had to stop for a minute.
Exactly.
Because I had to stop. I remember one day I had to stop, and I remember that I'm gonna tell you the truth, because I had a breakdown one time. I was in my 20s, and I feel like everything was over. I mean, I had several breakdowns in my life, but this breakdown was my last physical. Like, I'm losing my mind. I was in my 20s, and I was like, man, life is not going the way I planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna share a little bit. You know, like I said, it's in my podcast already. Life is not going the way I planned, and I tried. I tried to take myself out.
I've done
I
that
mean,
once.
I tried to take myself out, and I remember I've dealt with it for years of wanting to do it and not do it. And I'm like, man, it's a bunch of pills right there. I'm just gonna take these damn pills. I just can't do it.
Mine
I
was
feel
the
like
same.
okay, I'm
But
like,
I took them and then I immediately called my mom, who made me call the paramedics.
mm-hmm.
And then they showed up, and I was just a jokester making all kinds of jokes. They're like, you don't fit the description of somebody who's done the act that you've just done. And I was like, because I have to put on a show. I have to be, I can't let you see my pain, because if you see my pain, you're going to commit me. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to understand that, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm processing and I'm doing everything. And I might be a little erratic sometimes, mm-hmm. but I'm really not trying to hurt myself. I am really lost. And it comes back to the transition from my mom to my dad.
Okay. So before we jump back into it, so very quick before we jump back into it, like you said, when they had that situation like that, he said he was laughing jokester. It's because we are so used to putting on a face for the world, mm-hmm. and hiding who we was. Because I've done that before. I understand, and hiding who was really going on mentally with us. That when anybody come into it, we're like, oh, we got to put it back on because we don't want nobody to see this crack we just did. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's what it is. So,
and given the situation, and you'll see as we go a little bit further into it, because I'm about mm-hmm. to hit the pocket of time that I really lost my goddamn mind. But I was back with the man who said I didn't exist.
Okay. So now you got sent back to your dad.
We begged to go back with him because, again, the situation at my mom's house, also they were hoarders. It was just a very interesting situation. They were into reptiles, so we had snakes, rattlesnakes. We had all kinds of stuff, and I was the only girl. So I was really spoiled. I also was almost kidnapped from a pool. This guy sat me on his lap, and he kept trying to pull me out of the pool, and I was able to get off his lap, but he wanted to take me home.
Okay.
That was another.
So this is around 13, 14?
13, 14. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will admit I was very open with my chest. I recognized the attention. I had met somebody at my mom's, and he was this gorgeous guy. He had green eyes and dark hair, cowboy, dedicated. I Cross My Heart by George Strait to me. The song's still powerful to me today. I just took him out of the equation, but I still love the song. But he found me at my dad's house, and my dad let me go out with him, and we went out to the desert. Again, I'm from Arizona, so that's kind of where we live, is in the desert, literally. And we're looking up at the stars, and he's doing what guys do. And I told him no. So I lost my innocence looking up at the stars in the middle of the desert.
So he forcefully did what?
Yeah.
He did that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I went home and I didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
And I met the guy that would become the most important man of my life that following January. So I was victimized in October. Okay. I was victimized in October, and I met this guy in January. I met him at KFC. He was working, and his friend was like, "Hey, my boy wants to holla at your girl." It's that time frame. It's the 90s.
Yeah.
And so we exchanged numbers, and my cousin gave him she texted him, "This is pager time." And I was like, hey. But we ended up being on the phone for 6 hours that first night. Like, we just could not get off the phone. And I ended up meeting him on Martin Luther King Day. Okay. And he walked over to the convenience store, put gas in my cousin's car because she was of the mindset that that's the man's responsibility. I digress. I hate that mindset, but that's a whole nother show. So we walk over and I remember he hugged me goodbye. And I can tell you, it was that hug that connected me to him for the rest of our lives. And I just talked to him, messaged him yesterday. Okay. He's still in my life today. But at this time, I was 15, getting ready to turn 16. But I told him I was 18.
All teenagers. Gotcha.
He told me he was 18. He was 21.
Woo. All older guys. Most older guys do the same thing. Yeah. I got
so as soon as I don't like holding secrets. And so I'm a very honest person. And that has been what's gotten me into a lot of trouble my whole life, is because I am too honest. And so I told my dad, and my dad lost his shit, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Made me break up with him. And I ended up running away from home.
Right. I think most girls go through that part, yeah.
And so I just kind of didn't go back again until my oldest daughter was born. And that was because I was homeless and didn't have anything. But I was a troubled youth, but nobody knew that I had been violated in that way. Nobody knew that my stepdad had done this to me. Nobody, the incident that happened with my stepdad, again, it was a confusing situation. So I can't say that anything happened. And because I believe in innocent till proven guilty, I tend to stand more on the side of it didn't happen because there was no medical evidence.
So do you feel like I'm sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
Do you feel that by having that situation happen with that guy that night, that you put it in the back of your mind, or you just fought with it?
I just warehoused it. It was just part of life. And I just I just decompartmentalized it, and it was a trend. I've had men force me to give them fellatio and bring them to completion. One was a college football player, and that could be why I really hate sports. I've been abused my whole life up until my ex-husband. He said, maybe if I do it this way, you'll respect me more.
And I feel like that's because he's so little in himself. You know what I'm saying?
And to be fair, I shouldn't have married him. I didn't love him, and he knew it from the beginning. We both did. Yeah. But again, I am an innocent person, and so he asked me to marry him in front of my dad. And so I got put on the spot. And I said yes, because I didn't want to embarrass him. But then because I said yes in front of my dad, I was now obligated.
Got you. I understand completely. But I'm saying with that situation that happened, it's crazy. That's a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. But I'm just saying, it's a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, no, but I want you to, it's not a lot for me to take in. I'm loving it. I love listening to the story. I know that for you, because I think at a young age, it's everything going on at one time. Dealing with also the pressures of being a teenager, dealing with the pressures, because being a teenager is biggest pressure you feel.
Being a light-skinned Gemini teenager.
Now that's what I was saying. That's take back to that part. I won't even say colorism. That takes back to the jealousy part. And I feel like because in this country we are told as Black people that lighter people look is better than blacks, and we have a problem in this country where that we actually feel that way. We actually feel that okay. And here's my thing. This I tell everybody right here about the whole light skin colorism thing in the Black community. You could say that there was house niggas and field niggas. Any other damn day, you was a nigga. You was a slave.
Yes.
You was a slave. It was no better treatment. It was no good treatment. Either way you look at it, you was still getting beat. I never understood that because I'm gonna tell you, we all joke around because in my family, I'm the lightest of my mother's kids. So I remember as a kid that we took a family picture. That's this big family picture we got, me and my brother, my sister. And in the picture, you got my brother and my sister, they both dark skinned. And you get this big red dude up top. And it was a lot. So I understand. But so
yeah, but yeah, so I've had so much happen to me. And one of the most hurtful things my dad ever told me was he went to a psychic, and the psychic told him not to worry about me because I was always going to land on my feet. Most people would take that as a huge compliment, but I took that very personal. Like, that means you're not going to check on me? Does that mean that I no longer am relevant? I already don't exist. And so now I don't exist, and I'm good at what I do in that lack of existing.
So my son just came in the room. She brought me some chargers. Okay.
I'm gonna text my daughter and be like, "Give me some water." But
yeah. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But so you ran away from home. And did you when you say you didn't come back till you had your first child? Did you run away to be with the guy?
Okay. I ran away for him, but not to be with him.
Okay.
Like, I never really, I always thought that him and I were going to be the forever after. Like, I have his initials tattooed on my back. He's very significant in my life. But I don't know why it happened that way. I actually got to have a closure conversation with him earlier this year. And I said, hey, I need this. And, I've let you go. We're in a good space, but there's some things I need to get off my chest because you hurt me. Amina, get down, please. Sorry. But, so he came over.
I'm listening to my wife. I'm listening.
Amina, please stop standing on that box. There's stuff you can break in there. But, actually, if you guys want to have a quick conversation, I can edit this out. I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay, yeah, we can take a quick break. It's not a problem.
Okay. I'll be right back.
All right, we're back.
We are back, and I took a bite of food. So,
it's on the flow now. We finna flow through this now. We good.
I was starving, but yeah. So, ran away from home, had the closure conversation with him. Mm-hmm. But as I started to have a conversation with him, I started to realize I was like, you never made me any promises. I held on to you off of my own promise. And I was holding you accountable for emotions that you had no part of. You had loved me. That's the only thing you promised me. And you did that. I said, I thought that he was coming for closure for him, my feelings for him. But I didn't have to close those feelings.
That's true.
Because I still love him. I could text him right now and say I love you, and he will text me back I love you too. My daughter's father, I can text him right now I love you. He will text me back he loves me too.
Right.
I am a very different kind of human in the sense that, we didn't work out. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. So even if you go through the normal breakup, volatile, you suck, fuck you and your mama's cousin's goldfish.
Not your mama's cousin goldfish.
Yes. But
okay.
I still come back to the fact that I was attracted to them in the beginning.
Right.
So that meant that they were a good person. We just weren't good together. And I assume a lot of that responsibility because the guy that I ran away for he was a ghost in every relationship I had. Like everybody knows his name. Everybody knows who he is. My dad to this day hates him. Like he is the villain of a lot of people's stories as it relates to my life.
So was he the one that that's not the guy you married? It was just your kid's dad, or?
No, actually, him and I never had any kids together. You know what's really funny? Him and I only dated for like 6 months. And we don't have any kids. We've only ever been intimate a handful of times in the 30 years we've known each other. It just was never that. He just really took care of me. So my name is actually in the Bible, the original spelling of my name, Talitha. It's the damsel where he brings her back to life. And so for me, it was very significant because in essence, I am reborn every day because of my empathy. If I take emotions from one day to the next, it becomes very heavy for me. And then I go into what I call a manic, where I can't control any of my thoughts. And then a lot of times I would lash out at Demon because he was a safe space. And he's receptive and intuitive as well. And so there's times that he can recognize that I'm in an energy and he won't respond. It does cause me to, but it's the blessing of the evil.
I got families just like that. Yeah, I understand. I understand.
But, it took a lot of self-work to get to a point where I can actually vocalize with him, hey, you triggered me. You did this action right here, but this emotion is not your emotion. Gotcha. Your action triggered the emotion. And so now I have to process this emotion, but just know until I can come through on the other side, anything that I say in this pocket of time is processing. It's not an attack. It's not me disparaging upon you. It's not any of that. And I know at times it can come across that way because you do have to go through the ugly to get to the green, so I will tell him that he's lucky he gets to fucking touch me, because I get to have that energy with him. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, that is true.
And he gives me that space to be that. And so I didn't have that at any time growing up. I've never enjoyed sex. As soon as sex was, I'm the kind of person that I wanted the intimacy. So I would build it up in my head, and I was so excited to be with this person, and they would touch me or they would get in my energy, and I didn't want them to touch me anymore.
Was that because of the situation that happened at a young age? Or the few situations?
I don't, it probably could correlate to that, but I honestly think that it's just because I'm a treasure map. I am not something that you can just open me up and I'm there. You know, you have to work to get everything to line up the way that it needs to line up for me to be able to enjoy it. And none of the guys from my past took the time to do that, but they would always hold me accountable for my lack of understanding of sex. So it became a problem. You know, I'm very open, as you can tell. I'm very, I share. I had this traumatic experiences growing up. I've never been shown love. I've never been shown intimacy. I've never been shown any of these things, but you guys want me to suck your dick. Like, you want, you know, I can't give what I've never been taught.
So question with that though, have you ever communicated with anybody that, okay, I don't know this. This is foreign. You know what I'm saying? Other than Demon, I know you have with Demon, but I'm saying, was it the fact that you never communicated with them? Like, look, this is I feel this way.
I think that could be the problem. Demon either. I would tell them that it's mental for me. I would recognize that if I could get my brain to stay in the act, then I could enjoy it a little bit more. And so if I was planning a grocery list while we were having sex, you aren't it, you know, and I would stay in that relationship even though I was planning those grocery lists.
That's something. I do think that it's because also, like I said, I'm just outside listening. I do think that you can't feel that fulfillment or that want, because you want somebody to want when you want them. But the reason why you're not going to feel that way because you haven't allowed yourself to open up, not just physically, but emotionally with that person you about to be intimate with. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be stagnant there in between the situations. But I do feel like it'd be blissful once you be like, okay, cool.
You are spot on. You are spot on, because it wasn't until Demon that I was able to articulate and not have to change the level. I don't want to, and I don't want to say I dumbed anything down. That's not what I did. I just had to keep changing the narrative until it fit the person sitting in front of me, which then kind of changed the message. So it became like a game of telephone, except that I was the only person sitting in the circle, and I had to figure out how to get it to that person so their ears would comprehend what I was trying to get across.
Got you.
And that's exhausting.
It is, but that's not it, because you want them to already know.
Right.
You want them to already know, but it's kind of hard for them to know if you ain't. Because I'm gonna tell you, we're dudes, we guys. And I'm gonna tell you, I tell me and wife used to go back and forth on this all the time. I don't know what the fuck you're feeling, and if you don't tell me what you're feeling, you know what I'm saying. And a lot of times, like women, I do think women want, like, okay, you should know how I feel because you've been around me long enough to know me.
But that's unfair to the man. And so I literally, I keep saying that we're going to save Demon till the next show, but you know, he's just a very important piece of my life. Yeah, I seriously texted him. I sent him a snap message yesterday, and I was like, hey, my energy is really off. I recognize that I'm detaching. I need you to love me harder right now because something's going on with the energy. Yes, Mercury's in retrograde. I am a uncertified witch, so I'm affected by energies that I don't understand, and he is here.
That's all that matters. And I think sometimes, I feel like that sometimes what we do, It's because I'm gonna tell you, I feel like sometimes we push people away when we really want them closer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is it's best for them to get away from me instead of trying to understand me.
Right.
I understand what I'm feeling because you ain't gonna. I don't think you're gonna understand how I feel. Instead of just being a open vessel for them to welcome that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I told, like honestly, I think I told you when we were talking before we even got started that I had a bad cancer scare.
Yeah.
And I remember that I always been afraid to be vulnerable in front of people. Like my whole life, I dealt with a lot of traumatizing situations, but I was always the one who's going to protect everybody else when they was going through it. I didn't want nobody to protect me because I don't want you to see me vulnerable. So when I got to that that cancer situation, I was so vulnerable, and I need somebody here. And it was crazy because my wife, at the time she was my girlfriend at the time, and we was on a date maybe a year before this stuff even happened. And I remember that I was so used. I remember I'll never get it. I had they found a mass on my intestines, and that's what it was. And I was like I was in pain. I mean, I was in pain every day. And I remember that I just called out of work a couple of days. I'm just called out of work. I'm gonna deal with pain by myself in my house. Nobody can see me. And I remember I talked to my wife at the time. She was like, what you doing? She like, I'm just at home. I'm at home. She like, you must be at work, ain't you? I'm like, yeah. She like, why you ain't at work? Oh, my stomach just hurt today. She like, your stomach been hurting for 3 days in a row. Why is your stomach hurting? And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm good. I would hang on the phone with her and be crying. Like, I mean, balled up in a ball, just crying. And then one day she actually just popped up in my house, like, I sensed this feeling, something ain't right. And I had to force myself to open up to her. Because and then I'm crying because I don't like then I get mad when I see people see me cry.
Right.
And I'm crying, and then you see me cry. Now I feel weak because I'm crying. And then I remember I went through the whole situation.
Men are given that space, and my daughter's father is a recovering narcissist. I like to say that my love changed him. He wasn't supposed to be here.
Right.
I also met him the same year I met the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
I met him in the Jack in the Box window, and I was working at that time. So I met them the same way.
So you and fast food got a relationship. I got you. You and fast food is very important.
But he came, and when he came, he pulled up. He's got one of those deep voices, the kind that just make your panties wet. And
love it.
I was like, bro, like if this man is cute, and he pulled around, and I was like, he is fine, like And he was like, can I come pick you up after your shift? And I was like, yeah, and so he did, and he had his friend with him. His friend looked like John B.
John B. Okay, I can see that. Okay.
So I was interested in the friend.
Okay.
And everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. I ended up kissing his friend that night, and that's as far as that needed to go. Right. Then, I almost tried to hook him up with a cousin, and then I got jealous because I was really possessive over him. But he went to kiss me one time, and I used to tease him because he had bad breath, and I would always try to give him gum. But I told him, I said, because Spirit knew if we had gotten involved then, we wouldn't have had a miracle now. And a miracle is our daughter. So, so we lost contact, and, I went through the abuse with my ex-husband, bad abuse, but again, to be fair.
So with your ex-husband, how did you meet your ex-husband?
I was riding a bus. He was the bus driver, and I asked him for a cigarette. And And then
Okay.
he saw me sitting at the bus stop a few days later, and he was in his personal car, and then he gave me a ride. And I was never interested in him, but people, I'm easily pushed into things. And people around me were saying that I was just not liking him because he's nice, and I was being an elitist, and I was just being a snob, and they made me feel bad because that wasn't what I was doing. I just knew I was not attracted to this man, and I didn't want to be with him. But I ended up staying, and then like within 2 weeks he had moved in with me. And he had taken my money and went to the casino and gambled it. And he came back, and he had been drinking, and he's hypoglycemic. And so he slips into comas where he's very alert, but he's not awake.
Okay.
Amina, I am in a, please go.
It's fine.
But, I lost my train of thought.
You said that he was hypoglycemic. He slips into comas.
And so I confronted him, and he struck me. And so I immediately went into Stockholm Syndrome. I came from trauma. So I knew what to do.
Okay.
And again, I have no animosity towards my ex-husband now. Him and we're not friends. He's the only ex that I don't socialize with. But he was really, really aggressive. And it was only when he slipped and he had those glycemic episodes. And I'm not giving him grace. I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm just recognizing that he was not fully responsible.
Okay. But here's my thing that I think we need to do too, as people. Just sometimes you gotta recognize shit ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And that it might not meant for you to be with the shit, whatever. But shit is shit, whether we look at it or not. But at the end of the day, you moved. It was a chapter in your life to help you move on to the next.
Yeah.
And
I got my daughter.
You got your beautiful daughter from her.
Yeah, so I don't regret anything that I experienced while with him. I appreciate it because it did. I started to recognize that we manifest, right? So I've made a joke about being a witch, and so I started to pay attention. Like I would say really mean and hateful things to him, and everything I wanted, and I would say out loud, I got it in my buka who came next. And that was not a good thing either.
I understand. But you know what it is though? Sometimes we are sponges though. You know what I'm saying? We soak up what's going on around us. So you being a mean, evil person or whatever to him, you was like, yo, I'm dealing with this shit right here, man. So look, I'm gonna give it back to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Shit, I've been there. I get it.
And I wasn't good to him either. But, after our divorce, it did get really petty where CPS got called because I let our daughter shave her legs. There was other things in the report too, but that was the biggest thing. And it was just an attempt to hurt me. And, again, testimony, none of those lies stuck. There was some truth to there. I've never been a super clean housed person. My depression is definitely something that comes through in my cleaning. And so you can tell where I am at in by my environment. And, right now my environment is starting to clear. And, so I'm bringing balance back in. But it's difficult. Especially when your granddaughter's playing drums on a box in the living room. But
Okay. I know. Hey! I'm a parent. I told you, I get it. I'm a
and
parent. I
so,
get it.
I just, and then my daughter's father, we started dating in June of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And that following year, he had a massive heart attack
Oh wow. Okay.
while we were in bed together.
Okay.
I saved his life.
Got you. Got you.
And I sang Staying Alive as I was doing chest compressions. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I make a joke. You see those, I was really into crime shows then. And so
Oh.
I I tend to not emote to the scene. So in my
Mm,
head, I'm thinking, you're not crying. They're going to think that you did this to him. You need
mm,
to you need to respond. You need to do something because they're going to arrest you. They're going to think that you caused this heart attack, which, I'm allowed that space because I'm in that irrational place.
right.
And then I'm laying there and I watched him die.
Oh,
And then they brought him back and they took him to the hospital. And I'm on the phone with my cousin and the lights went on and I started crying because,
mm,
again, irrational.
mm,
And I was like, the lights are a good thing.
mm,
And then I got to the hospital
mm.
and saw him die again.
Okay, okay, okay.
And I talked to, it his family, and I'm in my state. I am very truthful and honest. I don't
Yeah.
know how to put up sugarcoat or boundaries, so he had a major blockage.
Mm,
And by the grace, he came through. They put him under
mm,
hypothermia, let his organs survive. He didn't come back with 100% of his brain. He
mm,
had some memory issues, and it got so hard
mm.
because I love this man, but this is not the man that I started dating.
Right.
And so we just stayed in a holding pattern for 8 years
Mm. Do you
until he
feel like?
called me a bitch one day.
Mm,
And but he was going through a lot of medical stuff. Right after he called me a bitch, we broke up.
mm,
And I kid you not, that happened at 4 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, he found out he had cancer.
mm. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Because I used to do the same thing. Well, not I ain't say I did the same thing as deep because I want to put myself too deep in it. Do you feel like by you being a people pleaser that allowed you to stay longer than you needed to because you wanted to, or do you feel like okay, I feel like this person needs me and I can't go.
Probably more to the second.
Okay.
I'm a season. And so usually I'm not allowed to leave until I've either learned the lesson or
Mm-hmm.
I've served the purpose. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in the essence of my daughter's father, I stopped him from being a narcissist. He's aware, he's recognizing his own behaviors in other people.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I know that cancer plays into that too. You've shared that
Yeah.
it does put you to total different perspective,
Oh yeah.
but I loved him
Mm.
at a time that I didn't have to because
Mm.
after we broke up, we still shared a bed. He didn't
Okay.
move out for like 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
cared more about the man
Mm-hmm.
than my pride, you
Okay.
know? And this is my daughter's father. We have history. You know, in the 30 years I've known him, he's called me out of my name one time.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I understand. You're like, man, that's my goat. I
Yeah.
get it. I get
So
it.
it's not something, he hasn't done anything detrimental to me
Mm-hmm.
to not give him this grace. And right now he's scared. He had diabetes. He weighed 230. He dropped to 160.
Right.
And then my daughter, I had 8 miscarriages and a stillbirth. And so I didn't expect to have her either. So when I got pregnant with her, I was like, we have a problem. That was my first words. And he didn't get excited because we had experienced so many losses before.
Right.
And then she stuck. And that's why her name's a miracle, because she wasn't supposed to be here either.
Yeah. So you think that by her actually coming, that was like, I think like from what it sounds like to me, that by that situation was like a birth to something new. When she came, that was I'm gonna tell you, like, a lot of times we got to go through some BS to get to the other side. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that I think by her being born, it actually maybe put a battery in your back.
It did.
What I don't need to take no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's what it was.
And then she has autism. So that was another fight. And my granddaughter has autism. And so for me, I wasn't going to fight my man too. You know, that just was not going to happen. And if we had gotten to the point that I was able to pull him that far out of character, I needed to recognize that it was healthier for him and me to take away that responsibility piece. And as soon as we stopped being in a relationship, our friendship returned slowly. You know, I still get mad and cuss him out. Cancer doesn't excuse me. You piss me off, I'm gonna cuss you out, motherfucker. You know, but we definitely are in a different space. He's very attentive to the bills. He's kind of a silent partner in my whole podcast and being to get all this stuff with staging. I'm a very blessed individual.
And that's why I love that part. That part was you just said. And that's what I think we need to like stick with that part, because that part, what you just said, incorporates everything that happened before.
Yeah. And I recognize that. And that's why I'm here. I'm here because I can offer a perspective. And once people see that I am coming from a place of relatability, I'm not coming from a place of superiority. You know, I just processed my trauma. And so I encourage those who need therapy to go to therapy. Therapy didn't work for me because of the expansiveness of my thought process. Gotcha. Therapists are more controlled, and that would never work for me. And the English language sucks. So I would be even further limited in my communication. And that's why Demon was so important, like I said, because it doesn't matter how dumb I go. It doesn't matter how fanciful I go. He's rocking with me. And if I get too far, he's like, babe, that math's not mathin'. And how did you get here? And I'm like, no, it makes sense. Trust me. And, but as soon as he questions me, it'll alter my course. And then I can, you know, manic down off of whatever thought I'm on. And I usually figure out why I manicked. And it was just, he doesn't say anything. He just sits there and he interjects when he needs to. And, you know, or he'll offer some insight or he'll agree with me. He acknowledges what I say.
So by you having someone like that, was it like a fight at the beginning because you're not used to that? Or do you finally feel like, okay, I deserve this?
I don't know that I still believe it's happening. Okay. You know, I went through so much with him and because of him, and I don't want to be near anybody else. I've shared that, like, I can breathe his oxygen. And for me, I'm claustrophobic. So if I can breathe and I can feel your breath and I don't repel from you, that speaks volumes. So the fact that I had this level of connection with him, all the bullshit that I was going through, I kept coming back to the connection because I'm an empath and I can't connect to bad people.
Gotcha.
And I know that for genuine because of the stories that I get to share. The people who connect to me are still connected to me. I just saw somebody the other day from 8th grade, and we were talking, and all of my friends from junior high and everything were hurt people. I was a light, and I attracted them, and it wasn't intentional. I wasn't disingenuous. I just love, and people pick up on that. And it's been detrimental to me as well.
What I love about it is that I love that I like I said, this is our first time actually having a real conversation outside of what we talked that first time. But I love that you finally, and I don't know this is how you really feel right now or not, but to me it seems like you finally accepting who you are.
Which
you know what I'm saying?
Big hot mess of clusterfuck.
But guess what though? Guess what? We all some clusterfucks in this bitch, man. We making it. We made it. And I tell you about that shit too, man, because and I love that. I mean, I don't know, like I said, we still ain't going deep. We part 2 gonna still gonna leave us in the deep. But
this is definitely my longest cast. And it's perfect because it does set us up for your show.
I love it.
Which is probably going to go another 2 hours. That's why I'm saying like my stories, I really want to tell them. And it has to be in this kind of format because one, I was able to maintain composure. I didn't, I teared up a little, but I never lost myself.
Yeah.
It'll come in season 2 for me.
No, but I want you to like I think that, and I was seeing it when watching it too, and like I said, we still talking, but seeing and watching it too, that you can see the memories is popping back, and sometimes it's hard for us to run from it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I mean, but and I realize now and I told my sons this as a black man, it's okay to cry. It's okay to let that shit go because we trying to hold on to it and hide it. Let it go because we cannot be free.
Right.
With something like that, and that's a different type of anchor because that anchor holds us down from who our true ability to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that you, like I said, I appreciate it. I still appreciate you able to share what you shared with me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's to me, that's love for me, man. We got a bond now. I love that. You know what I'm saying? And so like I said, this is like reverse. Like I tell you, this is like a reverse like podcast. I love to ask questions. So by you being through everything you're going through, I mean your mom, your dad, everything. And when did you reach that place of forgiveness? When did you reach that place of like, I need to learn how to forgive?
Last year.
Okay.
It all happened last year, and it was because Demon came in and challenged me in a way that I'd not been challenged before. He was my true reflection. So every bad thing that I had done to somebody in the past, I was receiving. And so if I was to run away from it and react, then I was a hypocrite. And that's one of the biggest things that I don't want to be. So instead, once I recognized that it was something that I myself was guilty of, I processed through it. And then so once I processed through it, I was able to have a different conversation with him, still holding him accountable for what he did, but coming from a place of hurt and not from a place of attack.
That part. And I was thinking about that too. I remember me and my dad, we had a conversation when I got grown. Cause me and him didn't get along. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I remember that, and I moved with my dad after my grandmother passed. And I moved with my dad from like 12 to, I think I was turning 13 when my grandma passed. So from 13 to, and I moved out of my dad's house at 19. And I remember that we didn't get along at all. You know what I'm saying? We argue and fight every damn day. Like we did not get along. He didn't understand me. I didn't understand his shit. We didn't understand. But I remember one day we had a conversation, man, and he actually like apologized. And I was like, damn, I did not think I needed that.
It's amazing. And I didn't know how much I needed love until it was presented and then taken away from me. So that's going to lead us into your part
Oh no, damn that. Now, we ain't just end it like this. We ain't gonna just end it. We fuck that. We not ending this shit on love. We ended this shit on some fucking. No playing. No, joke aside. But
honestly, Demon presented everything I ever wanted, and God said, "What are you willing to do for it?"
Got you. But do you feel like in this place now that you are working towards being 100% authentically you?
I am. I'm always a work in progress. One of my favorite sayings right now is the evolution will be publicized. And it's really my evolution. Even in you see my background that we're looking at, that's my new background, but this is what I had ordered. So even as it relates to my show, I've changed even just from the inception. And just to speak to the character of who Demon is, the reason this show is here, yes, is for my daughter's father. He's a big part of the financial backing and the existence. But I was going to give Demon money to help his business. And he told me no.
Respect.
He said he wanted to do it on his own. And I said, fuck you, nigga. I'm going to go get my own motherfucking business, and I'm going to promote your business through my business. You're not going to deny me, motherfucker. And so I started Not Just a Sorority Girl last September as a hashtag on TikTok. And I got it up to like 50,000 views.
Okay.
And then I trademarked it in January and turned it into an LLC. And so now it's the catalyst. So Demon is a catalyst into the existence of what you are being witness to. It's just intricate. It's intricate. And, when I put when people are like, why do you say demon? And then I tell them it was because of the BDSM piece of it. But then I started to recognize, I think people need to understand there's a lobby to BDSM. And I are in the lobby. We dabble, but we don't go into the dungeon. It's just a different kind of dynamic. And it was because I was finally in a space where I was safe. And even though he put me through so much trauma, I knew the commitment he made to me could never be broken. And so it didn't matter what his vessel was putting me through. His spirit was still mine.
I got you. You know what? I got so many tidbits and stuff from this episode that
I'm like, I can't wait. I'm sure you're gonna have questions.
I have it in my head everything I want to say now, and and I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about as we going because and me, we talked already. We as deep as we want to go, is gonna go. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I was just thinking I'm like, yo. Oh yeah, we're gonna end on a good note. I already know it. How's it going to end?
We are though, because I still have to put you on the goddess seat.
Oh, okay, all right.
And so the goddess seat is my attempt at pushing love into the community. As you know, I'm trying to build a Celtic braid of community. And that's why I'm interacting with everybody, because we can't have a strong foundation without our community. And so that's why you guys will be annoyed by me, because that's what I'm doing. I'm interweaving my magic in between everybody. But this spot is about you. And I don't know what attracted me to you. It was probably the fact that I knew that this was going to be a safe space. You have a very genuine spirit. You're quick to laugh, which is very important, especially in healing. Laughter is one of the things that keeps you anchored. And if you're able to laugh when you're in that darkness, it's not as dark. And, you are a light in the darkness. And so I just want to give you your flowers and say that I see you and recognize you and really want to just manifest greatness into you, because I really do think that you have a voice that can change people's minds because it's open to a different view. And I know that you deflect through your comedy, that you've gone through your own personal healing, and sometimes jokes are true reflections of our inner turmoil. And I just want you to know that if your jokes ever take a turn, I'm going to be on your phone or your wife's phone, because I will become her friend too. Watch me work.
Love it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
And yo, and you know, I gotta, and again, I gotta reflect it back to you. First of all, the sheer fact that you invited me and allowed me to be the person that you reflected off is, to me, a very, you don't understand how important that was for me. Mm-hmm. And it's the fact is that, I mean, we didn't talk for like 2 hours, whatever, but I feel like we could talk forever. You know how we do. But I feel like, yo, the fact that you invited me to be that vessel that you can use when you need this, and and I'm glad I'm able to anchor you down a little bit. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I want you to understand that your trauma, your life is not in vain. We have been placed on this earth for a reason. And the reason why we're still here is because the shit we've been through.
My goal is to reach one person. And if I can stop them from hurting themselves or hurting others, then I've done it.
You know what, man? I promise you, and I want you to understand, I promise you, you have done that plus some.
Well, I appreciate and receive that wholeheartedly.
You have done that plus some.
And if you want to hear more of the Talitha to Goddess saga, please join us in July when this airs, which I don't know why I'm saying that, because nobody's going to see this. But anyway, you see more of this story, join us over on Random Thoughts with Eric G.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be airing on his show. However, even if it's still in this platform, it will be his hour. And so what I will do in that way is, I think I can change the way we sit too. I'll just flip it around.
Okay, cool. But you know what we're going to do? But what I'm going to do on my show, y'all, we're going to be talking about her twerking that one time at Freak Nick. I ain't going to say it out loud.
You know, I was only supposed to be there for 20 minutes. I just went to pick somebody up.
And you got stuck in traffic. What else can you do?
I just, and I'm bright skinned, so they needed me to direct traffic.
I was going to no. Nobody know that you had the hot pants on, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, the booty shirt was hot.
Yes, yes. Exactly.
But I promise you, I would love. Matter of fact, man, I'm gonna tell you this right here. And I know we ain't supposed to talk on this show about this, and you can edit this out if you want to or not. I can't wait to have you and Demon on, and I want to talk. We want to get into y'all life, y'all love story. Let me tell you,
we'll go ahead and drop the deets.
Oh yeah,
Eric is the only person in our circle that has and met Demon.
Yeah, I did it. I ain't like you caught me off guard when you first said it. I was like, when she first told me in the other podcast, I'm like, Demon, and I was asking questions in the middle of the podcast.
Yes,
but I can't wait.
And I have a really bad habit, and I think that's kind of why I stopped trying to be on people's shows, because I do steal attention, and it's not intentional. I'm just naturally a light, and I conversate, and when I feel that the conversation is lagging, I instinctively put myself into it, and I turn it back to me, and I relate it to me, because I can talk about me till forever.
Do it too. I think that's why we connect too, because I do feel like we are two sides of the same coin.
We are.
And I love that, man. I'm a rambler. I'm self-concerned. I'm I talk about myself all the time. You see, I kept bringing it back into me, but that's just my way. But that's my way of connecting to you.
Exactly.
I want to connect because my connection to you, because we have similar situations. But yo, man, I love that, man. I love that you, like I told you before, you're my sister now, man. We good. You actually favor. I wish I could. You favor one of my sisters. No lie. So like, it's like we gonna be good. We gonna be good from now on.
You know what is so funny is one of the things you say that is the people that I'm supposed to be connected to will have some kind of story of how I resemble somebody in their life.
Okay.
And we look nothing alike. I just want you to know. But there's something in my energy that makes you feel comfortable enough. And so I relate to you in that energy. So that's how you connect to me. And that's one of the superpowers of me. And, you know, it's my constant fight for proving my genuine self because I live in a world full of assholes. I made a random thought one day when I was a little young. I said, for people not to be, and don't get offended to nobody, for people not to be gay, for me not to be gay, I'm surrounded by dickheads and assholes a lot. Right.
For me not to be that way, I'm surrounded by.
I've been in relationships and I was like, am I gay? Because you're
this ain't for me
right now. Because I can't do it. But so Eric, I know that we've mentioned your podcast a couple of times. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, y'all, this is it's Goddess' new little brother, aka Eric G. Hey, yo, y'all can find my podcast, Random Thoughts with Eric G, on YouTube. I'm new to the YouTube verse, so my YouTube is not perfect. But also you can find me on all platforms. I would love to list the name. I'll list some of them: Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And I would say, damn it, if you name it, I'm on it. And, just find me on all platforms.
I'm right now. I'm still working on mine. But
you're gonna be there. Look, I just found you on Good Pods yesterday, so I got you. But
yes. Well, if you guys don't know, Eric's podcast is really just about things that grind his gears, like Peter Griffin, and it could just be super random. Today he doesn't like pickles. Definitely take a look over at his podcast. I do appreciate this time, and I am very welcoming to having a new little brother since mine's not talking to me currently. But that's a whole nother show too. But as we end this, I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for waking up today. I love you, and be nice. It's easy.
Yeah, yo. Soft words and harsh truths. You got issues, I got issues.